Welcome. This is the continuation of our last class. It is aerial stem modification. We have seen different types of aerial modifications: tendril, hook, thorns, right? Today, let us see the subaerial stem modification. Subaerial stem modification. Stem is partly underground and partly above the soil. That is why it is called subaerial stem modification. There are four types of subaerial stem modifications. There: runner, stolon, offset, and sucker. So most of the teachers and students confused with what are the difference between runner, stolon, offset, and sucker. So very simple. We can see one by one. The first one is runner. So runner is a weak-stemmed plants which creep or it grows horizontally on the surface of the soil. To have nodes and internodes. From the nodes, from the base, adventitious roots develops, and above you can see the shoot system. And one of the typical example is Centella asiatica and oxalis, otherwise called wood sorrel. And here you can see this is one plant, and from the basal nodal region the branches develop. See, these branches develop. The branches grows horizontally on the surface of the soil, and it have nodes and internodes, and one of the nodes happens to touch on the soil surface, and again it produces adventitious roots below, and above you can see the leaves. So the subsequent branchlets are produced in a linear fashion. See, if you pull this plant here, you can take one or two branchlets along with this. See, the branchlets, connections of these branchlets are very strong. So that is, this type of weak-stemmed modification are called subaerial stem modification, and this particular case is called runner. Could you follow me? A typical example is oxalis and centella. So the next one is stolon. Then what is the difference between a stolon and a runner? Stolon is also a runner type, is also a runner. The difference is, the first one, in the case of runner, the branchlets or the branches of the stem grows horizontally on the surface of the soil. But in the case of stolon, the branch arises from the basal node of the mother plant and it grows upwards, and then it obliquely grows downwards and it touches the soil. You can see an arch here. But in the case of runner, it grows horizontally and near to the soil surface. But here in the case of stolon, the lateral branches arises from the basal node of the mother plant and it grows upwards for a certain period, and it obliquely grows downwards and it touches the soil. And in the soil, when it touches and favorable conditions from the nodal region, it produces adventitious roots and above the shoot system. The typical example is strawberry, and the second one is mint plant. And the difference is runner grows horizontally and stolon, and both these cases are terrestrial. See, In these branchlets, you can see the arch. Here the stem is somewhat above the soil surface. But in the case of runner, it is closely touches on the soil surface. There also the branchlets have nodes, that stem have nodes, internodes and there. So that is the major difference between a runner and a stolon. Could you follow me? Then the third one is offset, and it is in aquatic plants. And here the internodal portion is thick and stout. And this plant, especially Eichhornia, otherwise called water hyacinth and pistia, grows on the surface of water, that is float on the surface of water. And the branchlets or the branches arises from each node in all directions. All the previous two things are runner and stolon are terrestrial plants, and the branchlets are produced in a linear fashion. But in this case, the offsets are seen in aquatic plants like Eichhornia and pistia. There the branches are produced in all directions, and these branches are produced on internodal length. See, the other runner and stolon, the branchlets have numerous nodes and internodes. But here in the case of offset, you can see only one internodal length the branchlets are produced. And this internode is thick and stout. And from the base of the nodal region, you can see the root system. Adventitious roots are produced and the above shoot system. And this type of stem modification is called offset. Right? Could you follow me? Then the last one is sucker. In this case of sucker, the lateral branch arises from the basal underground portion of the main stem. And you can't see these branches. So these branches are seen under the soil. And after it grows a horizontal vertically, it grows upwards. And if it separates from this plant, the mother plant, it grows into an individual one. See, that is the main difference between a runner, stolon and a sucker. In the case of runner, the branches grows horizontally on the surface of the soil. And in the case of stolons, the branches grows upwards up to a certain growth. Then it obliquely grows downwards and it fixes the soil, so that you can see the arches over there. But in the case of sucker, you can't see the lateral branches because the lateral branches grows underground portion of the main stem. Then it grows upwards. For example, this is chrysanthemum. If you separate these plants from the sucker plant from the mother plant, it can grow into an individual one. So with this, the subaerial stem modification is over. The next class we can discuss the underground stem modification. So far we have seen the aerial stem modification, and today the subaerial stem modification, and the next class we can discuss the underground stem modification. Okay, thank you.